I'm actually here today to talk about franchise paid search. So I have a few slides here, and I'm going to talk about what franchises should know about paid search and how it's the jet fuel and not the airplane. So there's a lot of things that kind of happen with this, but the main fact is that we're trying to figure out what's in the mind of the paid search client from a franchise perspective. So years of experience have taught me that in the mind of a paid search client is their business, right? It's right at the beginning of their business. So here's what I've learned. The first thing that they ask in every capacity, the first thing that every franchisee asks is, "Where's my ad?" Right? That's the first thing that everyone wants to know. So where's my ad? That's the first thing they want. The second thing that they want, that I hear very most often, is, can I launch a paid search attack ad campaign? They're focused on competition, right? So Jerry down the street, he wants to sell my business, right? He says, I want everyone to know that Jerry's wife cheats at Bunko. Can I have a paid search attack ad? These things are what's prevalent in the mind of the franchisee. So next, seriously, where's my ad? The joke I have here that no one's gonna see is, dude, where's my ad? So this is mainly what's in the mind of most franchisee, right? Most of the franchisees want an action, right? They say, this is something that I'm giving, I want something that I get. So the last one that I see most often is more for less, right? I want more calls, I want them all to be quality, and I want to pay less for them. That's one of the things I see most often. The thing that I think most about is how would a sentence like that do at a used car sales lot, right? If I wanted more things for less money, probably isn't going to go so well there. All right, so let's talk about the expectation of what happens for a franchisee. The expectation is step one, you give money, right? Step two, you get back way more money than you gave. And step three is profit. That's the expectation at every level, right? The franchisee, the franchisor, they give money, they expect 3 times, maybe more, back in return. Everybody wins, right? Well, the reality is a bit different, right? The reality is a little bit different than that. The reality is you give money and you get back something different, right? You get back something like conversions, leads, or calls. It's not necessarily the same thing as the previous one where it was just revenue, right? It was just return. And the problem with is it follows with the next one. If you can't get the immediate one, you don't profit. What do you get instead? You actually get more digital data. You get more concepts. You get click-through rate. You get conversion rate. You get price per lead or quality score. Other things that aren't necessarily the same thing as profit, right? So what we try to do at Web for Enterprise is value everything in step 3 as a really important point, but most small business owners or most franchisors want more than that, right? They want to go all the way down to the base level and say, what is my bottom line? What is my return? And so that's something that we pride ourselves on doing, but a lot of times what happens is if you start focusing on these types of metrics, you start to silo your efforts, right? So what happens is you put paid search in a silo, you pay SEO in a silo, email, social, display, radio, TV, they all go into a silo, right? So what happens when they're all in a silo? Well, you hyper-focus on PPC metrics. You lose coordination with others in their marketing investments. You lose that coordination with other marketing investments. And you get individualized reporting for solutions. So you only give solutions, or you only give reporting to each tactic. It's their own reporting solution, right? So PPC would have its own reporting, SEO would have its own reporting, and you evaluate each one differently. All right, so I wanted to walk everyone through really quickly a journey, just a general journey of what happens in the rule of 7. The rule of 7 generally is supposed to be outside of digital marketing, but I'm going to sort of try to encapsulate the rule of 7 within what we do for digital marketing. So say this is, I don't know, this is Nicole, right? And so Nicole is here. Nicole wants to, she hears from a friend. It doesn't look anything like Nicole, by the way. But Nicole hears from a friend, and she thinks that it would be a great idea to get this product or service from this location. So the first thing she does is go to that location. Wait, no, that's not what she does. She does a search because she doesn't always trust her friend. Her friends aren't always honest with her. So she wants to make sure that she has digital confirmation of the decision she's making. So in reality, she'll go do a search, and then she'll do another search. Maybe it's a paid search, right? The difference between Nicole's looking for an actual product or service. She doesn't care if it's organic or paid. So she's done multiple searches, clicked on multiple ads, and doesn't care which one is which. The next thing that happened, though, is that she actually, went to Facebook, was looking for a party, and saw the retargeting ad, right? She was going to go to her best friend's dog's bar mitzvah or something. I don't know what you do on, what kind of party invites you get, but so because she went to the paid search or the original search and went to the site, she's retargeted. Maybe weeks later, she thought of, hey, how do I go back to the URL? Oh, I remember the name. She goes back to the URL. She didn't find what she was looking for, so then she does another search, finds the location that she was looking for, sees another Facebook ad, and finally, she's ready. She's ready to purchase that product or service. This is not what we think of usually when we think of paid search advertising, right? This is far more involved, but we all understand it from a consumer side. But when we're looking at those metrics, we assume that they're all specific to that silo. Now, the problem with this is that she probably just goes to the store and buys that, and then this is all eliminated because none of these digital marketing efforts tie to that store. So I'm not jaded or anything, being a digital marketing professional, but that does happen. So I'm going to do a different one. Say Nicole does a search, right? And she looks up something. She's not happy with the search results, so she just looks up a bunch of things, right? And she's just constantly looking up things and clicking on different things, which is what I do, which is usually when you have a search engine results page, you click and open the drop down on every answer inside the search engine results. You just right-click open window, right-click open window. This is called window shopping. But every single one of those opens is a paid click, is an impression. But people that are doing that don't care. They don't care about what's happening with paid or unpaid. They care about what's happening with the information they're getting. So then maybe they hear a radio ad. Maybe then they see a paid search ad. Maybe then they see it again on Facebook. They go direct to the URL and the search. And lastly, they see it on Facebook again, and they make the decision. And finally, they make a phone call, which is something we can track. Yes, it's fantastic. Now, the only problem that we have now is who deserves credit for that phone call? And I hope somebody in the audience has the answer, because I don't actually have the answer. I don't know, right? There's so many things that get factored in. And in this instance, Facebook would get the actual conversion, right? And depending on your attribution model. But what if it was paid search? I would hope it would be paid search, right? Then they would get it. But everything else in this would be devalued. Nothing else would win in that auction. So the story I'm trying to tell here is that there is an opportunity in a case study for Web for Enterprise that we put together that showed a huge amount of gains from an effort that we put together for paid search in conjunction with paid Facebook. So this study is still in its infancy. It's not something that we have readily available up here, but it's something that we're really working on to have ready very, very soon. So this next slide is probably a joke that is going to go missed, but this is a fantastic slide. It is a very good slide. If you haven't seen any of the M&M smiling images on the internet, and how many people are photoshopping smiles onto M&M's face, it's fantastic, because M&M never smiles, and smiling is what you get when you put PPC and Facebook together. It's fantastic. All right, so let's talk about the case study a little bit. I'm glad I see some smiles out there, because otherwise this deck would be completely completely off the rails. So for this paid search case study, what we did for our study was a 3-month testing period. We had a large enterprise network, almost 12,000 locations in this network. We took a cohort of about 500 locations across the network, and we separated them and we normalized them based on the account spend. And then we split them in half, locations running paid search and locations running paid search and paid social or Facebook. And the results were pretty amazing. They're pretty fantastic, actually. And with the large sample size, we feel like we have a really good statistically significant sample size. So the paid search only was around $68 per lead, and the average conversion rate was at about 21%. That conversion rate's a little bit higher than average. For this network, we have actually a lot of micro conversions, a lot of things that we track as conversions that increase the conversion rate. But in this sense, you can also see the uptick in conversion rate when you compare it with paid search and paid social. So the average cost per lead was about $53, and the average conversion rate was about $24. So this is actually a reduction in cost per lead by about 22%. And it was actually an increase in conversion rate of about 14%. These are some fantastic numbers, understanding how if you break down those silos and report on numbers that include multiple tactics or channels, you'll be able to see lead decreases because every channel helps each other. Every channel is part of that ecosystem of the digital journey. So each one is important and each one should be tracked together. This is just one example of how this works. We're working on some further ones. But the key takeaways today from my talk is that you want to understand your transaction with paid search. Understand why you're making the decisions you're making, what you get out of that transaction. 2, you don't want to get sucked into that paid search silo. So you don't want to get down to where you're not doing number 3, where you're not exploring additional media channels and how they work together. You want to figure out how the whole ecosystem works together, because no one just goes to one source and is done. And at the end, you want to get that end-to-end reporting to figure out how everything works together to give you that entire picture. And those are the 4 things that you should take away from the talk today. And that's it. That's all I have. Thanks.